Sis warriors, how are you guys? I am so sorry for being a little bit late. I am just like I could have come on early. There is so much information, but then the lighting and all that good stuff. So hello GC and Dilly and Annie Ruler and Suzanne, Miss Amir Zaza, Crime Story Diva, Caleb Lee. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And like Miss Amir Zaza requests, please hit that like button if you'd be so kind. And you guys, I feel like I need my tinfoil hat. There is so much information. Like I thought things were maybe dying down, but I'm like, no, I know that there's more stuff that just keeps seeping out. There is floodgates. I don't even know where to begin. And I don't know if you guys have heard about some of this stuff or not. A lot of it was just overnight. So News Nation, J is for Justice. Those are my two main sources. Lots of articles on both of those channels. Everything I say is simply my opinion, and for the sake of hoping to have a conversation, open up a intelligent discussion, hoping to learn something, hoping to be educational, and last and least, YouTube is an entertainment platform, so I always like to include the entertainment component to my videos since I make them specifically for YouTube. So where to begin? And I'll try not to bump my thing. Can you guys hear me okay? Hey, Sefa, can you hear me okay? Because I have the computer up just a tad higher than normal, and I think sometimes that interferes with the sound. So let me know, although adjusting it would be really troublesome. But just let me know if there's any issues with my voice, like, cutting out or something like that. I literally don't know where to begin. Okay. There's so much that I want to tell you guys. I've told you before, it's been a while, that I grew up it's in my description. It's in my channel description. I grew up in a family with military, law enforcement, first responders, artists. But a lot of the things that I know about military and law enforcement is from being on the inside track. So my grandfather was a colonel in the Army for 30 years. He was a Purple Heart. He served in the Korean War, where he earned his Purple Heart. And he was, once a colonel, always a colonel. So he was a colonel well after his retirement. And he shared some things with me as I was growing up as a teenager. And, this is how I learned a lot about the system and how people get hung out to dry and people get scapegoated. And I don't want to bring up any names because I don't want to get into arguments about what the details were with that person in that situation. But, high profile things. So he served as one of Kennedy's cabinet members. Hold on. I'm going to need my phone for this one. And then, first responders and law enforcement. So I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for all of these professions when people are being living with integrity and doing their jobs with integrity. It's really frightening when they're not, because the abuse of power is profound and it's simple. It's pretty easy. So, this is real life. This is not a movie. Lately, we've been talking about that Hulu miniseries called Chance. And I've tried to prepare you guys, for those of you that haven't seen it yet that are interested. And for those of you that have seen it that are probably like, what? It's a television miniseries that reflects true crime and real life. So that 2-season miniseries takes place in San Francisco, and it kind of covers a lot of the corruption in San Francisco that's happened over the years. And remember, San Francisco is the biggest city closest to Lake Tahoe. It's about a 2 or 3 hour drive, depending on if you're got your pedal to the metal or not. Anyway, that's where the Twinkie defense came from, and that was a real thing. And that was in the 70s. And there's a movie called Milk with Sean Penn, where he plays Harvey Milk, who was the guy, I believe. I haven't seen the movie. I believe he was the guy who invented the Twinkie defense. So he ate a bunch of Twinkies and he went crazy and he killed his political rivals. And then he had like the least amount of culpability because, those chemical cakes can make you do things like that. So careful. I know I've had some situations with Oreos that were pretty scary. So anyway, let's get on with the show. Loved Chance, hoping for answers, says, and it's so violent, but it is, unfortunately, I think reflects true real life. So, one of the problems that I have with this case with the Idaho 4 is how cozy historically the news media has been with law enforcement. And news media pretty much doesn't like to report things that law enforcement doesn't want them to report because they want to keep the lines of communication open. So that's understandable. But right now, with this Idaho 4 case, that brand new channel that I spoke about yesterday, that you guys told me about the day before yesterday, with an unauthenticated letter of termination for the criminal defendant from Wazoo. That letter is still unauthenticated, and yet Ashley Banfield reported on it last night. So at first that made me think, okay, then it's probably a thing. And then I thought, why in the world would she not have a copy of it? Why in the world would she not have a copy of it? So what concerns me is that it's laying out the groundwork for motive. So my concern is that the criminal defendant could be getting scapegoated for something that's much, much bigger than him. And if I'm wrong, I will suck it up, because the last thing I want to do, I will reiterate again and again, the last thing I want to do is protect a criminal who's going to destroy lives like has happened here. But Phantasmic Ether, Banfield has totally lost all respect from me. News Nation has really crossed the line lately. Well, if they reported on that and then it is not authenticated, or it's turns out that it was authenticated and that it was a fake, yeah, I just can't believe that they would even cover it. Like, maybe they should just mention it as a thing that they've heard about on the internet, but they don't know yet. But no, they went ahead and covered it as if it was accurate. Yes, I kept waiting for her to show a copy of the letter, and she never did. Okay. And, now this is my thought process, you guys. And I'm telling you, I know this stuff from the inside track. Now they're going to have that letter, even if it's a 100% dummy letter. They're going to have it because she covered it. So we can bet our bottom dollar that it'll be authenticated real soon, probably by the end of the day. But why in the world would this little brand new YouTuber have a copy of it, maybe online? I don't know. How on earth would she get it on Monday? And then Ashley's not covering it until late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning? No, give me a freaking break. I'm mad, you guys. I'm really mad because there's so much to cover. I want to get on it so that I can try to tie it all together, because it's freaking crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And their source inside commentary about the injuries and such, yet again, not authenticated or authorized, and inconsistent. Has anyone been able, Annie Ruler, and let's see, Has anyone been able to see if lead detective and Brent, swatted guy, were in the army together, as in knew each other? Such a great item to keep bringing up, Annie. Thank you. Because I have heard that. I have not been able to confirm nor deny. Okay, let me go to a separate case. This is real current. I just heard about this on the news this morning. This is an Ohio case, and it is extremely concerning because, let's see, wrongful conviction after 24 years. Okay. This man was awarded $45 million 3 months ago. And this is the first time I've ever heard about it. And this has been going on for over 11 years. Okay, this man was awarded $45 million. And I pay attention to things like this in my news. This is Ohio, where I live. $45 million for wrongful conviction after 20 years in prison. A record verdict was announced Monday for a Fairborn man, and this is an article that's 3 months old. A record verdict was announced Monday for a Fairborn man wrongfully accused of raping several women in the 90s, awarding 57-year-old Roger Dean Gillespie $45 million, the highest settlement in state history. When he was 24 years old, he was accused of raping 3 women, a crime he says he never had anything to do with. Today, he was declared a wrongfully imprisoned person by the state of Ohio. My whole life has been in the courtroom, 20 years in prison and in a courtroom, said Gillespie. 33 years ago, I went to prison for a crime I absolutely had nothing to do with, and today we proved that beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm completely innocent. In court, the jury found that a former Miami Township police detective suppressed exculpatory evidence that led to Gillespie's conviction for raping multiple women. The evidence at trial showed that the detective created an unfair lineup of potential suspects, claimed a witness had made an identification when they had not, destroyed evidence showing Gillespie was out of town camping in Kentucky when the 2 crimes occurred, and altered the witness's audio recordings, you guys. Makes me wonder who actually did these sex crimes. When he received a multi-million-dollar settlement, Gillespie says he thought of the victims who still don't have answers, said Gillespie. I'm not the person. I have no animosity to these victims at all. They were done wrong and cheated out of things in life the same way I was because justice was not served for them. Gillespie was released in 2011, so it took him 11 years to win his case 3 months ago. He was released in 2011 thanks to the Ohio Innocence Project. He spent 20 years of his life behind bars, time he says he will never get back, but now he's focused on getting justice for other innocent prisoners. I'm not the first nor the last guy that this is going to happen to. We have to fix the system to prevent this from happening, said Gillespie. Since his release, Gillespie now serves on the board of the Ohio Innocence Project and helps other formerly incarcerated people reenter communities. A copy of the lawsuit, Dean Gillespie versus Miami Township and Matthew Scott Moore, that's the detective that screwed him over, case number 313 CV 00413 in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Ohio is available here. So then you can go to the lawsuit. So why would Detective Matthew Scott Moore want so badly to pin this on an innocent man? What would be his motivation? My guess is that he either is or knew who did it. Okay, that's a pretty big potential accusation, allegedly, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion. But why would he be so motivated to pin it on this guy? And it could be because he wanted to win some award for being some great detective. Here, let me catch up with you guys. Good morning, beautiful people, Liza says. Annie Ruler, I wonder if the G lady with the letter has a connection to his college and took paper from CD personnel file. Yeah, she doesn't say what state she's in. Oh my gosh, how this happened. Right, and that these things happen. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, I couldn't believe it that this is in my state and that I look for things like this, and I had never heard of it until this morning when it was covered on NPR. Um, Good morning, Zena. It's early. Too late for that. Imagine what they did to him in prison, right? He was camping in Kentucky. Right. And if he was camping alone, then how on earth would he be able to corroborate that alibi? Terrible to be convicted when innocent. You can never get your life back. He does have $45 million to play with now, although probably half of that is attorney's fees, if not more, probably more than that. So he probably has about $20 million. So at least there's that, right? I mean, yeah, time is money, and your life is much more precious than a huge chunk of change like that, in my opinion. Super Bowl week, the way FBI leaks likely for kickbacks. I expect a juicy leak to Banfield this week. Just an educated guess from their pattern. Oh, how weird, Annie. And I trust your opinion and insight because you know things. I know you know things. Um, Now I have Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson playing in my head. Yeah. And so this guy, Free Daniel Holtzclaw, sentenced to 263 years for allegedly several women, Oklahoma police officer Daniel Holtzclaw. Wow. There's guys that do this stuff that work for law enforcement. It's absolutely a fact. I've seen it in real life and it is horrid. It's horrendous. Um, it's absolutely disgusting. And I hope that it's going to be happening less and less with the power of the internet, the power of electronic devices. People can record things, people can videotape things, people can take pictures much easier than before. So let me jump to a few different cases because to me they all tie together. So I'm going to apologize in advance for jumping to a few different cases, but I'm sure you guys have all seen the photograph of Gabby Petito's face when she got beat up by dirtbag Brian Laundrie and in Moab, Utah on August 12th, 2021. That photograph was taken. I wrote down the time because this is extremely important. At timestamped at 4:37, 2 minutes before the domestic violence call is on record at the Moab Police Department. 4:37. So the body cam with the domestic violence response in front of the entrance to the Delicate Arches, those body cams start about 20 minutes later. So you've seen the photo. It looks like her nose is crooked. She's got blood smeared on her eye. She's crying. It's a selfie. The lawyers just released that yesterday. So why has it taken a year and a half for that to surface? Just like it took over a year for the videotape of her and Brian Laundrie shopping at the Whole Foods right after their incident at Mary Piglet's. And we still have never seen a videotape from Mary Piglet's. And in fact, we've gotten 100% assertion and denial across the boards from management and employees at Mary Piglet's that none of this ever happened and that they had a fine meal and it was all hunky-dory. And yeah, they forgot to pay, but they chased them outside and got the money. It was without incident, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about with cover-ups. So we know that Gabby's face, we could see it in the video, but the video was kind of taken from this side of her face, and the kind of the bruising and the redness and the cuts were on this side of her face. And the police officer eventually asked her about that. And, you know, she almost said she did it to herself, right? I mean, that's what domestic violence victims do, because they know they're going to get worse of a beating for the perp getting in trouble, that they'll get blamed for that. So he asked her if she'd ever been choked by him, and she said yes. And then she described what he had done that day, grabbing her face. Or maybe she described what he did, grabbing the face, and then he asked if she'd ever been choked. I believe she said yes. And then at some point in the video, I haven't watched it in the last 24 hours. At some point in the video, when the senior officer is at Pratt, is explaining it to the newbie officer about the domestic violence laws, and he says, for all we know, if we don't do the right intervention, she'll be dead in 2 weeks. Like, what? Does he have a crystal ball? I think he actually said right before that he didn't have a crystal ball, right? But yet he did have a crystal ball. Wow. So this whole thing with Kohberger, the criminal defendant, to me, everything is just getting even more questionable. Absolutely. So, all of a sudden, a couple days ago, this quirky little redhead comes out of nowhere with this letter that she says she can't show us the receipt, but she has it. And again, I will gladly apologize to this person who I really believe that she's a paid actor, you guys. I know that could sound a little conspiracy theory-ish, but check her out with that in mind. Check her out with that in mind. She's a very polished, oh yeah, I'm a hipster kind of look at me with my handy dandy notebook. And an example of what criminal attorneys always say, if the cops like you for the crime, you are in trouble. Oh my goodness, Liza, that's such a scary, it really literally makes me wonder if the police chief at Pullman Police Department might have liked Kohberger when he interviewed him last April. And that this was a big freaking thing that had been brewing for a long time. Did they have DNA for the wrongfully convicted rapist? I saw Wrong Things on Murder Trial I helped with. ADA was fired. Wow. And again, that's what that television miniseries Chance, that Hulu miniseries gets into, is the DA. And how easy it is for people in high positions of power to manipulate anything and anyone, and they are untouchable. So my guess is that DNA is what exonerated this person, Roger Gillespie. That would be my guess. So they destroyed evidence, they fabricated evidence. He was 24 years old. He's 57 now. 33 years of his life has been tied up with this. He was released 11 or 12 years ago, and yet it's taken 11 or 12 years to see a dime. And with that $45 million lawsuit, potentially it could be wrapped up in appeals for years. I hope that it's not. I hope that it's not. Other half of that for therapy, right? I also think he knew the perp. Oh, are you talking about this police officer? Did I write down the police officer's name? I did not, but the police officer for Miami Township that was sued by this Roger Gillespie. I think I said his name. It was in the article. Oh, yeah. So either he knew the perp, or he could have actually been, in my opinion, allegedly, possibly. Promotion is motivation, right? There you go, GC. Thank you. Kiki Ray, are we assuming that is why the woman officer's body cam wasn't released? I don't know how you're tying that in, Kiki Ray. I do not know. But that whole thing with Gabby is extremely bizarre. From that day of August 12th, I believe it was August 17th that Mr. Laundry flew from Salt Lake City to Florida for 6 days. So from August 17th to the 23rd, approximately, I could be off by a day or two on either side. For about 6 days, Gabby stayed in not a Holiday Inn Express, but something like that. Was it? You guys know. I said Holiday Inn Express a month ago when I was talking about it, and you guys corrected me. So not a Holiday Inn Express, but something like that, some type of express hotel near the Salt Lake City airport. She stayed in that room by herself for 6 days. Like, really? Okay. And then when he came back on the 23rd, the around the 23rd, the Mary Piglets incident was the 25th. The grocery store videotape was the 25th, and the Red, White, and Bethune YouTube video of the van door closing just yards away from where her remains were later found. That was all on the 25th. So it's determined from all that that was the day that she was unalived. 2 days after he returned from this weird trip to Florida where he says he needed to empty his storage unit to save money. No, that's not why he flew there. So hopefully the Petitos will be getting to the bottom of all this with their lawsuit. They are amazing. So yeah, I'm not sure what you meant, Kiki Ray. Let me see if you got caught up with that. Hit send too quickly. Yeah, that happens. Caleb Lee, troll, or which troll are you talking about? Do we have a troll here? Is that what you're wondering? Um, I always wondered what they talked about. Oh, the female ranger for the national park system, Melissa Hall. I didn't check her name after I mentioned it yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that's it because I've twice tried to get that that public records. I've made that request, and I will continue to make it. I will continue to make it. Let's see, 6 likes and 37 in chat. YouTube is doing this, not viewers. Huh. I don't know what you mean by that, Caleb, but yeah, the shadow banning type of thing, I'm sure is what you're referring to. Do the cops have to give mandatory DNA when they join up? Just a criminal has to give their DNA when they become a criminal. I don't think that cops have to give their DNA. They certainly have to get fingerprinted. They absolutely have to get fingerprinted. But yeah, that is fascinating because if their DNA was in the system for having committed crimes and then they became an officer and then there was a match, that would be helpful, huh? Caleb Lee says, no, Zena. We could hope the cops give DNA so theirs will be ruled out when needed. Cali real estate agents have to give fingerprints. Right, everybody has to give fingerprints. Teachers, therapists, interns. How's it going? Morning all, or should I say afternoon? Hey, Crime Watch with Kenny. I was in the chat with you last night on Squirrels on Fire. I love the video that you did of, on the Kylie Rodney and, really questioning that whole thing and her mother and her strange things that she said and did. No amount of money gives anybody more seconds on this earth. Justice needs to get that detective and the others. One detective doing all that alone, highly doubtful. Liza, you know it. There's absolutely no way that that detective did that without people knowing. So, my thought is that maybe, possibly, allegedly, potentially, the law enforcement in Pullman was waiting for somebody like the criminal defendant to come along to pin this on. Even more interesting is that the police departments back where Kohberger grew up have been ruling him out as a potential suspect for all their cold cases. That's called CYA, cover your arse. And it doesn't mean that he is ruled out for those cases. It means that they don't want to get sued if he did in fact do this or was part of this. They don't want to get sued for this happening because they never solved the case that they're clearing him on now from 10 years ago. It's pretty scary stuff, you guys. It's pretty scary stuff. But these are the things that justice seekers are fighting against. And, you know, I believe it's worth the fight. I definitely believe it's worth the fight. It's an uphill battle, but I think that with some of the tools that are available now, again, videotape, audio recording, internet, social media, I think it's harder for these positions of power that have historically been able to be so abusive of that authority that it's more challenging for them to do it. But still, they can call anybody who questions them a nut job. And honestly, you know, here I am questioning them. And it would be easy for anybody to criticize me and say, oh, well, she's just, you know, off the deep end. But no, I'm not. I'm not off the deep end. I'm really not. I know that for a fact. I've questioned it many times myself and I've been cleared. I've been professionally cleared. Um, we have been keeping track of the YouTube algorithm. Caleb Lee? Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. That is freaking amazing. Crime Watch with Kenny. That presentation was fire. Susan Dodge says, thank you, Susan. Let's hope it jogs someone's conscience. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone that is younger than 22 years young, and God bless every one of you young peeps. Crime Watch with Kenny. Nothing is deep enough with these bizarre cases. That's so profound. Okay, so I want to jump into some other cases, okay? I mean, not other cases, other aspects of this case. I watched a video on J is for Justice, and I highly recommend her channel, you guys. She is on it. She did a video last night about the sneakers on the wire, right? And she read a poem that Xana's sister wrote about Xana's worn out Converse sneakers that she says she threw up on the line because that's like a thing that the kids do when they're graduating. Okay. I don't know that Xana was actually graduating this year. I don't think she was going to be graduating for a couple of years. So that doesn't make sense to me. But what my thought is that possibly that poem and that story is a story to cover for why there were 4 pairs of shoes hanging from the electrical wires near the 1122 King Avenue or King Drive, King Road residence. 4 pairs of shoes. We all know that putting shoes up on the line like that is marking a place where you can score. And 4 pairs, that's a lot of pairs. So she wasn't graduating this year. That makes no sense. That absolutely makes no sense. Let's see. J is for Justice is a she. I think so, Caleb Lee. What do you think? I thought J is for Justice is a she. There's a few channels with justice in the name, like Justin for All. His channel used to be Justice for All. And then there's a couple others, but J is for Justice with the number 4. And it's spelled out Jay. So if you're looking for the channel, I'll put a link in the description, maybe for the one with the shoes, because it's a very cute poem and it's a very cute idea, but it sounds to me like a cover. Maybe there was a lot of activity going on at that house that had been problematic for a long time. And yeah, Sounds like a made up cover story for sure, Heather Mosier says. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking like that. Because, yeah, you guys know that when somebody is going to be unalived for retribution, the way that stuff works is there's a price tag on their head. Like, it reminds me of like the old Beretta theme song, "Don't go to bed when there's a price on your head. Don't do it." You know, you can't sleep. You can't ever, you always have to have the eyes in the back of your head, because when there's a price on your head, that means it's a free for all. Anybody who hits that target is going to cash out. So it might take a really long time to hit that target, and it might take many people orchestrating it together if that person is aware and trying to be super safe, right? What if Xana was afraid and that's why she had Ethan living there? It just seems like in the last 12 hours, it's come up that Ethan was actually living at that house. So that's maybe why his golf clubs were in that empty room, and that empty room was like a storage room because he wasn't going to sleep down there, obviously, if his girlfriend lives on the second floor. Um, what if? And what if they were the targets? I know people have said that off and on throughout the weeks covering this case. What if they were the targets? Taking it, undoing the whole theme of the targets being up on the third floor. What if they were the targets? What if they were the ones that were hurt first? What if? Just thinking about it, you guys. Just think about it. We don't know anything. We really don't. X may have wrote an essay for English class. Justice, have you seen the case here in UK with Nicole Bully? A good one to get your teeth into. I have heard about it, and I honestly, I worry about getting distracted because I like to do such a deep dive with any case that I'm focused on. Like when I was, hell bent on not focusing on anything but Kylie Rodney, and then Kylie and Trinity, and then a few others, and then reluctantly this one. And I know that a lot of people are covering the Nicola Bully, so I don't know that I will. It seems to me like I get drawn into the cases where I smell a rat. I smell a rat early on. Shit don't add up. Shite don't add up. And as I'm looking into these cases, it looks like potential corruption. It seems to me that those are the cases that I'm drawn to, with good reason, because I've been educated about this stuff from real life, stuff that I would literally never believe could happen had I not seen it with my own eyes in real life. Okay. I mean, I told you I worked in the courts in Seattle. I saw a lot of crazy crap there. A lot of crazy crap. Um, yeah. So, Crime Watch with Kenny. I'm very interested in that case, but for right now, I'm going to keep looking at other people covering it and stay focused on this one, because this one just seems to be mounting and mounting out of control. So there's a woman who wrote a letter. Let me just inject this part right here. And she put it on the Pullman Police Department website. And this is her letter. This is very recent. Okay. Hello, I'm not sure if I can post this here, so take it down if it's not appropriate. My name is Daniela, and I'm a PhD international student. I just want to warn everyone about something that happened to me on Friday night when I was going home. I took the bus home and got to my stop around 6:10 p.m. I was walking to my apartment door when I noticed a black car with no plates and no car logo parked in front of my apartment door. The trunk was open and the car running. I kept walking to my door, and when I was about to close my apartment door, there was a man behind me, and then he grabbed the door handle. I was able to push all of my body weight against the door and prevent him from coming in. I quickly locked the door and called the police while pushing the door really hard. The police has a full description of this man in the car. The man kept ringing the bell multiple times while trying to force the door and knocking the door. The police came, but the man was gone. This man knew my schedule, where I live, and that I lived alone. I did not recognize this man at all. Never had seen him before. I am not in Pullman anymore. I left as soon as I could. I'm very scared of what could have happened if this man got me. I just wanted to say this here so that everyone is careful, because I never heard anyone coming behind me, even though I was fully focused. I do not wish this situation on anyone, so just be careful, please. Thank you, and please stay safe. This was just like a week ago, you guys. I apologize for not having the date of that, but I think I have the date of this. This is a response on that City of Pullman Police Department Facebook page, I think like a day later. So this, okay, I do have a date right here, February 3rd. This was 5 days ago. This was 5 days ago. Okay, City of Pullman Police Department posted on their Facebook page a response. We understand that there are some concerns surrounding a student post regarding an incident that took place Friday evening. Around 6:14 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, Pullman police officers responded to a report of a male subject, possibly Asian or Latino, approximately 5'5" and wearing a green sweatshirt, who rang the doorbell and attempted to open a female's apartment door. Okay, I got to stop right there. He was ringing the doorbell and trying to open the door. That's not the same way she described it. They're really downplaying this. When officers arrived, the subject had already left in what was described as a black sedan. Okay, again, they're playing it down. This was without license plates and without make of car. And waiting for this person with the trunk open. Hello. Officers responded to the area within minutes, but were unable to locate the subject vehicle. They provided extra patrols throughout the evening. Okay, this is Pullman Police Department. I told you guys, I tried to be really nice and gentle and polite about the whole thing with Wazoo. You could call it a RAPE town. And that's going back over 30 years. It's just the way it is. So now I'm seeing why. This is how your police department responds to a situation like this. And they say that he rang the doorbell and attempted to open the female's apartment. That's all they say he did. And it's a lot more alarming than somebody ringing a doorbell and trying to turn a doorknob. It's a lot more alarming than that. This is insane. This is completely out of control. Okay. Did everyone watch the CC video from last night? Great video. And I'd seen that Caleb Lee, our friend who was the first person to notice CC's video from last night, I have not watched it. CC came into that chat on the Squirrels on Fire channel too. So it's nice to see her kind of coming back into so there's quite the social network with that channel, and just the way they do things and the way it's a community. And it got really messed up with I won't say any names, but Shanda did a video yesterday. She did 3 lives yesterday, you guys. I thought I was a little bit over the top doing my 2 lives a day. She did 3. Not that it's a competition, and I certainly don't need to do, although I think I have maybe done 3 in a day once. Anyway, the point is that she did one of them for 55 minutes that was all about the mayhem that has happened with troll channels and being bullied. And we all know that Mark Meeker passed away a week ago this past Sunday, and that he was dealing with a lot of stress from the internet bullying and from the trolls. So yeah, I would recommend checking out that video, because it's something that can apply to any of our channels. We need to pay attention to these things. and we need to watch people closely. And when people try to slide in with, say, oh, I'm a mom in the community and I know these people, and let me tell you what's really going on. That I call it the catfish crew. And I can't remember if I coined that phrase or maybe our 22 cents coined that phrase. If he did, let me give him credit. If it was somebody else, let me give them credit. And if it was me, I'll take a little bit of credit, but I'm pretty sure I didn't make it up. But I might have. It's been a while. And I really like it, the catfish crew, because that's what so much of this is. It's this whole catfishing thing. Everybody's trying to outsmart everybody else and be all sneaky and crap. Okay. Oh my goodness. Heather Mosier, perfect timing with your comment. Xana had her dad change the locks too. She was worried about something, right? Xana's father changed the locks, I believe, on her bedroom door the weekend before this happened. And that gets lost in the shuffle. I think you're absolutely right about that, Heather. I think it's huge. Where I'm from, sneakers on a wire means a hit. Oh my goodness, GC. Where can you say where you're from? Because like I've said, I just said it a few days ago. I'm very naive about a lot. I'm also very tuned in to a lot of things that other folks tend to be naive about. Um, but I have never heard that. So I'm 100% naive to that, but it makes sense. Crime Watch with Kenny. And so much of this stuff, you guys, we can't see it because it's right in front of us. The best way to hide anything is in plain sight. The best way to hide anything. When this first happened, wasn't there talk of a dispute between Xana and Dylan? That's why apparently her dad changed the locks. Oh, Crime Watch, you are on it, Kenny. This is something that I've not heard about, the dispute between Xana and Dylan. I am curious about the photograph. You guys, please go to my community tab. And I posted a photograph later last night of Gabby Petito's beat up face, the one that everybody's been posting. But the post right before that is a couple of photos of Dylan and Kaylee. Very, very hot photos in their skimpy little black dresses, looking like absolute knockouts. And I believe that that picture was taken Friday night before this horrible series of unalivings. I believe it was taken like 24 hours earlier. And I also believe that it was one of these two photos that I posted that was the photo that Dylan posted at about 12:30 her time that looked like 3:30 in the morning on East Coast time. So there was a lot of confusion with that a while back. But maybe the last picture that Dylan posted that night, the last picture of her and Kaylee anyway. And they both look so amazing in that photograph, in both of the photographs. They both look stunning. But I'm telling you, Kaylee puts Dylan under the table, in my humble opinion, in both of those photos. And Dylan's an amazing looking woman. So Kaylee is like supermodel looking in those photographs. That girl is so photogenic. And I can't help but wonder about some jealousy there. I know that it's been a theme that a lot of people have poo-pooed, and it just seems to keep coming up. What is that? Jealousy rears its ugly head? Okay. Xana's door lock changed was alleged from roommate dispute, said early on telling Adam everything may not have been a good thing. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Annie Ruler. Wow. That was the sweetest letter Xana put together. Yeah, the letter about her shoes and what she wrote made me cry. It was so beautiful. But Dilly, she wasn't graduating. Um, we had Kaylee just graduate. She was graduating actively when she was unalived. And Madison was going to be graduating in April. And Jack D, I don't know if he's still going to go through with graduating in April. Um, that it would be creepy to me if he doesn't miss a beat. But then on the other hand, you got to keep on keeping on. So I'll just set that aside. But Xana was nowhere near graduating. So putting the shoes on the wire, it says in that essay that it's something that the kids do at that school when they're graduating. I've never heard of something like that. It really sounds like a cover to me. Ethan was definitely living there. I thought it was because of puppy love, but I wonder about the illegal substances issue now, and the defense is building on it for sure. Yes, Daniel's PhD student at Wazoo. Is that the letter that I wrote that or that I read that she wrote, the post on Facebook for the police department about her scary situation, and how sad that she's a PhD student and then she just has to get the heck out of there. Let me make sure that I'm caught up before I go on with my stuff here. I went to check out J is for Justice, and yeah, she is a she. Cool. Thanks for confirming, Caleb Lee. Because yeah, that threw me a curveball. That one sounds like Kaylee 2.0. And are you talking about the woman over there in the UK that disappeared on her dog walk video conference call? PD is trying to keep Danielle's story out of the media. I'm telling you, Pullman is known across the state 35 years ago as RAPE town. They call it the zoo for a reason. It's a frat party 24/7, 365, out of control. Again, that was 30 years ago. Maybe it's cleaned up its act since then, but it certainly doesn't sound like it when you look at the history of their campus police department in recent years and recent months even. I mean, that one guy wasn't forced to resign until November. That's only like 3-4 months ago, you guys. um, and he resigned early November, so he might have a motive of being angry and scorned too, like they're trying to say that Koberger has reason to be angry and scorned and act out in this way. That freaking police officer has the exact same reasons. Seriously, you guys, this is so creepy. PD trying to keep it out. And 40 in the house, only 9 like. We can do better, Justice Warriors. Please hit that like button if you'd be so kind. Share and subscribe if you are feeling up to it. I would appreciate it much. Asian or Latino? Is your point, Caleb, that like those are two very different looking nationalities? I mean, they're both brown, possibly. I mean, most people wouldn't call an Asian person a brown person, but weird, huh? Hey, Susan, were you related to Tony Dodge? Michael McAllister, what? Oh, Susan Dodge. Right, 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 right. Okay, thank you. I know I've wondered that too, kind of silly. Are you Susan? You never know, right? How come when it comes to black suspects, they never say black? 1000% backs. Well, I I mean, there's just a lot of sensitivity there. For a long time, people said African American. Now that's kind of looked at as not appropriate, that it's more appropriate just to say black. If I saw an unmarked car with the trunk open in front of my apartment, I would have kept walking to a neighbor or store. GC, I agree 100%. 100%. Um, and again, with the catfishing, I'm not saying that this is what's happening, but it's possible that that story is just a story to make it look like there could still be a bushy-haired serial unaliver, bushy-haired, bushy-eyebrowed serial unaliver running around town. it could be a catfishing kind of thing. I'm not saying that it is, and I don't suspect that. It just crossed my mind when you said that, GC. Because yeah, if I saw an unmarked black car with no license plate and no vehicle markings on it at all, with a trunk open in front of my apartment, I would definitely not be walking up to my apartment door by myself. Period. Michael McAllister, right? GC. See, you guys are so sharp. I was literally thinking of doing a non-live just to put some of this information out there because it's so much information, and then coming on live with you guys. And had I been able to, I probably would have. But I'm really glad to be doing it like this, even though it makes it for a longer video. I love interacting with you guys. Your ideas are simply brilliant. So I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for being here. Please hit that like button. I'd hit it for you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm not kidding. I mean, of course I would hit it for you. If I saw an unmarked car, that's a really, really good statement. Let's see. It wasn't me. I was not the first to notice. Okay. And I don't know if you're talking about the algorithm thing. Liza says, I heard that. Maybe I haven't seen an Asian person or Latino person in my life. Apparently, they look alike. WAO, which I'm not familiar with that one. If you guys want to fill me in, I could Google it, but I don't want to get distracted by my phone as I've been reading to you guys off of my phone already quite a bit on this live. Hey, Katie Bug. I know to notice that her live her live only had a few likes. Okay, cool. And good morning. I have not happened to me. I was responding to Zena's reading. It's that a it's that a woke description. I'm too old for these stuff. I'm so very sorry. Michael McAllister, no way. And if he was, I'd change my name. Oh, I know. Like I said the other day, I can't believe that he's still on YouTube. That is atrocious for YouTube to allow somebody like him. The things that he's said are just grotesque and illegal. He should be completely banned, in my humble opinion. It's totally a failed abduction, in my opinion. Open trunk, what the H? Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Yes, I was just saying that I'm sorry for calling you by the wrong name. GCCG. Okay, cool. Dilly, what happened there? The way Dylan, where did that jump to? Looks at her sometimes in these pictures. It's creepy too. Right, Katie Bug, are you the one who was asking me about that yesterday? I'm sorry that I can't keep people straight. It like all goes into the soup brain. But somebody, I think it was just yesterday, was saying that why does she always look so weird? And I said, well, she's got the duck lips because she poses like that, and she's got the lip injections. But yeah, she often has a very creepy look in her eyes. I agree. And I had noticed that previous to the comment yesterday. But then looking at the pictures again after the comment, there's some really creepy looking pictures of Dylan. And she is a stunning, an absolutely stunning woman. So it's my thought that she might have felt like she was being overshadowed by Kaylee's even more stunningness. Whoops. I'm trying to shut my phone up and it takes a freaking picture. Stop it. It's not supposed to take a picture when I do that. I'm supposed to pinch it on both sides to take the picture. I literally did it on one side and it took a picture instead of just turning off the noise. So anyway, glitches in our technology. So yeah, the way Dylan looks at her in those pictures, and you know, the other thing is the competitiveness for the boyfriends and maybe competitiveness for girlfriends. I'm not trying to be a troublemaker with that. I'm not homophobic at all. I don't care in the very least if somebody's bi or gay. And a lot of college kids and high school kids these days are very open about the whole LGBTQ thing, completely open. So the way all those sorority girls all push up their hot little bodies next to each other in these photographs with their legs all intertwined and their fingers intertwined, it's extremely sexualized, you guys. And maybe some of these girls had crushes on each other. Maybe there was some fooling around. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's important to keep an open mind, is what I'm saying. Take possible jealousy and remember she is possibly trans and trying to be a pretty girl as she is. And I don't know if she's possibly trans. I don't know if that is legit or not. But I know that that's been a thing around the internet. And yeah, it doesn't bother me in the least if someone is transitioning or has transitioned. I have no issue with that at all. I think that the point that you're making, Annie Ruler, if I can say it, if I can articulate it, is that sometimes someone who has transgendered is going to be jealous of people who are that gender, that they have become people who are naturally that gender. So I hope I said that in a non-offensive way. Michael McAllister, Susan, I apologize for ever thinking about you like that. And I have been seeing you for a very long time on YouTube now. And I always wanted to know if you were because you would have insight. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, there's people who say that they know him from Arizona where he lives and that there's a few young girls missing, like within a block or two of his house in Arizona, allegedly, is what I've heard from many times. I am old now, but it meant a hit or that it was carried out, but it relates to a hit. No, I won't say where I am. Sorry. And that's fine, GC. I mean, I don't ever expect anybody to give out any information like that. I meant just generally, like you could say what country. But it doesn't even matter. So yeah, thinking of what you just said there, and that there was 4 pairs of shoes up on those wires. Again, in my community tab, if you go way back, I've made a lot of community posts since I figured out how to use that thing. I have a photograph of the sneakers that are all hanging off the wire, and there's 4. There's 4 pairs. So that would coincide with what you just stated there. Miss Mirzaza, I have seen a video about maybe Xana hitting Dylan with Halloween costumes or something. I can't remember which channel though. Interesting. Oh, you just brought to mind that adorable picture of Xana. I think it's one of the cutest pictures of her in like the little mouse costume up on her boyfriend's shoulders, on Ethan's shoulders, and she's doing this, and she's got the little ears, and she just looks so precious. You guys know I have a thing for mice. Oh, and yeah, that was only Halloween was only 2 weeks before this happened. So all those Halloween parties were just 2 weeks before. So it was a week after Halloween that Xana's father came and changed the locks on the door, Mrs. Zirzaza. So if there was an issue with Xana hitting Dylan, with Halloween costumes on that weekend. And then the following weekend, Xana has her door locks changed from her father. And then the next weekend, this grotesque unaliving that has just been misrepresented by law enforcement makes me very suspicious. Makes me very suspicious that they've tried to protect Dylan. And you guys, it was just yesterday that I discovered on the internet, if the internet is telling me the truth, that Dylan's mother, who is an employee at the University of Idaho Boise campus, she's a program coordinator, and it looks like she's been there for roughly 5 years, and that prior to that she was a government employee. I'll have to go back to that site and look at it some more. I just haven't had time. Interesting. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it does mean something. Juniper Rob, does Discovery drip into Brian's defense team, or is it all dumped in June? There should be some bombshells regarding Brian's phone, his computer, car. Let's see. Sorry, when it jumps, then I lose my spot. So I'm gonna speed read through all this, get caught up. And sorry, Susan, I asked you that same question last year. That's funny. I just wanted to let you all know I'm working hard to try to get my text out there better. Well, cool. Michael McAllister, shoes hanging up on the power lines here in Saginaw, Michigan stands for a hit or on a dope house. And that's how it works in Michigan in some places. Really good to know, Michael McAllister. Really good to know. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, I always knew it as a dope house. I never knew it as a hit, but wow. Good morning, Larissa. I saw you on panel last night as I was falling asleep, I think. I am from Ohio. Caleb Lee says, I stay away from Michigan. Michigan's so beautiful, but yeah, I know that it can be a little wild up there. Like those dudes who were plotting to kidnap the governor, and yeah, it can be a little wild. Kind of like the Wild West, kind of like Idaho. And good morning. And how did Michigan let 3 rappers go missing and murked? I do not know. Sammy Smith, smug face. Absolutely smug. Are you tying Sammy Smith's smug face in with like Dylan's face? I don't know, Susan Dodge Aguilar, if that's what you're murked. Is that supposed to be unalived, Caleb? Go missing and murked. Is that what that is? Because that's a good word for that. I've never heard it. But good for YouTube. Good morning, Larissa. People say back and forth. Lip injections, those are expensive. And I'm not sure if her father is an anesthesiologist or not an anesthesiologist. There's somebody, there's a handful of people with her same last name in the Utah, like Sandy area, and in Boise. So I don't know if her father is the guy with the same last name who's an anesthesiologist. I don't know if that's a relative of hers. I'm not sure. But if that is a relative of hers, she might have gotten a hot deal on lip injections. And yeah, it's so weird to me that a teenager would even think of doing that. It wasn't me that asked yesterday. I noticed the way Dylan stares at her. I don't know, weirds me out. I've noticed that too. Katie Bug, thanks for following up on that. I am going to try to speed read and get caught up. We especially look for tasty Ohioans here in Michigan, Black Ella says. That's funny. Not funny at all. I have family up north and you couldn't pay me enough to go there. Oh, that's craziness. Oh, I did not know that was a thing in my state with Michigan. I don't know if it is or not. Sounds like it might be. Well, we Michigans are good peeps. Don't diss us. Like I said, it's such a beautiful state. In Ann Arbor, there's like no town like Ann Arbor. Just very cool, lots of artists, lots of intellectuals. And coming back from a funeral up north years ago, we got lost. We went off the freeway and tried to get some gas from a small town. That damn town had people walking around like zombies. Whoa, I believe it, Caleb Lee, but I would think that that's everywhere. As I was reading your comment, it reminded me of like Wyoming and Montana, and yeah, and that, my experiences with that, driving through and trying to get off in small towns to find food or gas. That was before like the whole crack epidemic and the fentanyl epidemics. And you know what town really creeped me out in the last few years was, I think, Charlottesville, West Virginia. Had to go there for some business stuff, and it was like a freaking ghost town. And I said to one of the waitresses at the restaurant that we ate at in the hotel, I said, it's like everybody here has died of an overdose. And she said, yes, they have. Exactly. I was like, I'm not trying to dish your town, but and everywhere, like all the bulletin boards and all the TV ads were all for drug rehab everywhere. It was insane. So they weren't even walking around like zombies. They were just gone. They just weren't there. And we stayed at the nicest Stouffer hotel we could in the middle of downtown, and there was a police car parked out front the entire freaking time. We were there for like 3 days, and I literally never left the hotel. Well, I did a couple of times because I had to, but we ate all of our meals in there, and yeah, it was creepy AF. Absolutely. Um So I always thought that the photos were too touchy-feely intimate, but got shut down, suggesting maybe some affairs might have been going on, hence jealousy. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's ridiculous to pretend that those photos aren't extremely sexualized. They absolutely are. And whether that's because of, uh, you know, relationships and fooling around, or if that's just to look that way for like a model only fans type of back page where the sororities could be making money. The sororities and the fraternities could be making money with the substances, you guys. I have a feeling that this is possibly the school, the Greek system, and the law enforcement all having a big cash cow with that type of industry, and they're all involved with trying to cover it up and make it look like some lone wolf. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it's just a thought, and I think we need to be careful. I mean, everyone wants to just prosecute this guy and hang him when he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. We have to abide by that. As guilty as he might look, he may or may not be guilty. And yeah, planting evidence happens and covering evidence happens. So see how I am here to help you. Could have been CD talking to D. Maybe she did not know it, but rough justice. I hear you, Annie. Okay, Caleb, not going there with you, not time or place. And come on. Oh, sorry I read those out loud, you guys. Let's play nice, please. I don't really know what the beef is, but like the thing with insulting Michigan. I mean, any of our states can be insulted. You could insult Ohio. Ohio is very insulting towards Kentucky. Ohio is a little insulting towards Indiana. I'd say very insulting towards Kentucky. I didn't know about Ohio being insulting towards Michigan, other than like the football rivalry, right? With the team in Ann Arbor is at Michigan State and OSU. I should know this because I'm from Ohio and it's so huge, and it's been like a war for what, 50 or 100 years. But I'm not into football. I'll just admit it. I'll confess. There, you guys got me. And where are we? Here we go. I said to my cousin, "Where's the gun?" He said, "It's in the glove box." I opened it up and it was locked. I was like, "What? WTH?" We didn't stop at any stop signs or red lights there. We got back on the freeway. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that. I hear ya. Looks like this week's assignment will be find out if D is indeed trans or if he or she has any affiliation with Burger Guy. Well, and I'm still trying to research the parents. If the mother is an employee at the Boise Extension campus and has been a government employee, there could be some connections there that could really be playing out, and hightailed it out of there. Here's what I do know: Xena and Ethan fought 100 times more because they were with their first real love. I really hope they're with each other in heaven. Well, of course they are together in heaven, but also that they were wide awake. And we were told that everybody was asleep in their bed. They were obviously wide awake, 100%. Yes, I am. Does anyone else see it? Dylan always gave me Sammy vibes. Okay, thanks, Susan. I can say that I can totally see what you're talking about. Thank you for saying that. I thought Sammy vibes as well, GC says. And hats off to the Michigan residents who has been to the farmers market there. Oh, it was out of this world. It was out of this world. I was hoping to find one here in Virginia. The farmers markets that we hit when we went on our little family vacation this last summer were amazing. It's so beautiful up there. So beautiful. Michael McAllister, that's down in the Detroit, Michigan, and this is a few hundred miles from me in Saginaw, Michigan. And Detroit is kind of rougher than here. And God bless everyone, and please be safe, everyone. Anyone who has not seen that movie called Detroit that came out 5 years ago, I highly recommend it. It gives you a really good history of that city. And yeah, Detroit's had a rough go for a while. But I know that there is a lot of good in Detroit. So, what had happened 55 years ago, when the whole city was like under siege by the National Guard, that's a really good movie. I've been living in Ann Arbor until I had to care for my mother in Metro Detroit. And yeah, Ann Arbor's such a cool town, and Detroit sounds like it's super cool too, and it's like on the mend. Things are improving. But yeah, back in the day with all the auto industry, it was one of the safer places for Black people to live and work and not be victims of racism. So it became a very highly Black populace, and um, that racism and the cops, uh, law enforcement with the racism, that's what that movie Detroit is all about. Um, let's see. Sorry for typos. Nothing like justice and coffee in the morning. That's so cute. And man, I hate it when it jumps. Be honest, Michigan, why would you all have a sign going to Detroit warning enter at your own risk? Seriously, I am not. I, I have not had the pleasure of going to Detroit. I know that Cleveland has had a really bad rap, and I love Cleveland. So I don't know. I always figured that Detroit and Cleveland are probably similar like that they both have gotten bad raps and they both have so much to offer. I've written like a song pulling. I would love to see the picture of the shoes hanging on the line because of what Xana wrote about her shoes. Shouldn't have much, but she loved what she had. Um, yeah, so check out my community feed. It's in there. You'll see it if you scroll back, probably like 20 posts, I think, roughly. LOL, you are good. And God bless you, everyone. And yes, they do, Caleb Lee. Only God is good. I am from New Jersey. Lots of New Jersey jokes. Absolutely. However, thank you and have a great day. BK's roots to me seem like a delivery person, especially since he drove to Colorado twice we know of, afternoon of the 13th and drive with dad. So are you saying like he could be a mule Annie ruler? For anyone who's not familiar with that term, that would be somebody who delivers illegal substances. Um, a runner. Sugar babies are not unheard of with college students, right? I know people have brought that up before too. I'm really getting concerned. BK is not involved in the way they are making us think. I wonder what he knows. And he could be. I mean, the picture has certainly been painted well that he is like guiltier than sin, but it's painted too well, in my opinion. That was kind of my first red flag. Was like, stop already. And now with this thing with, I don't know, it just seems like more of that is happening, like with this letter, with this alleged letter. I am more than happy to apologize if I'm incorrect, but I am not trusting this letter. And probably even once it's authenticated, I probably still won't trust it. It just seems too convenient, too convenient. And like I said, that Officer Sergeant Kurht from WSU PD, he has just as much, if not more, venom in him to do something quite similar. So, for all we know, it could be him and the 3 people that he got relieved of their duties this last summer: the police chief, the assistant chief, and the captain from Wazoo. Think about it, people. In my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly, possibly. Thank you very much for everyone for getting justice towards the voiceless, and God bless. Yeah, let's get towards signing off. Dylan has 2 sisters, Jada and Ann, and they look just like her too. It's crazy. So make sure the parents connect to them as well. Thanks, Sifa. Good to know. Sorry, I fell asleep. I was going to say, yeah, I hadn't heard you commenting. That's all right. Sleep is good. Good morning. That coroner appeared to look like some granny paid to say they were asleep. She did not seem to have a clue. GC, good point. Yeah, she's pretty weird looking. Not to be critical, K, but come on. She looks like she's lost in the early 70s, doesn't she? And she's supposed to be like a defense attorney and a nurse. Like, those are really intelligent professions, and she just seems like a goofball, in my humble opinion. Yes, I feel he is a mule, and somehow he afforded college, and he didn't get his paid assistantship. So, but still, a lot of doctoral programs will pay you to student teach and stuff like that. Doubt CD had a fans only following. LOL. Oh, criminal defendant. Yeah, I would doubt that too. That's hilarious. Christina June, maybe by has some dirt on the police, and so they are out to get him. Maybe the criminal defendant could be that they shared some things with him. Guys, I apologize when I gave you all the name of Halle Berry's movie. It is indeed called The Call. I think all y'all would love this movie, The Call, with Halle Berry. Thanks, Dilly. Yeah, she's a good actress. And man, her dresses that she wore to the Oscars back there in the 90s. Holy smokes. And Christina June, yeah, thanks, BK. I figured that's what it was. They're both still in high school. And doesn't she have other like half siblings, Sifa? I thought she was one of 8. Is that accurate? And that she's from a Mormon family? I don't know if that's accurate or not. I remember the day criminal defendant was arrested. It was said he was taking a gap semester, easier than telling parents you were fired. Huh. I don't remember that, Annie Ruler, but I trust that you're accurate because you are accurate, like across the boards from what I have seen in your comments. So thank you. When those guys went in that house, they got into those vans was odd. When those guys went into that house and got into those vans was odd. Katie Bug, really good comment. Thank you so much for that. You're talking about the 4 or 5 plain clothes guys with beards that came out of like 2 minivans, I think, at middle of the night, like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I don't think it was Brian Enton, but somebody from his team that just happened to be camped out there and saw them. Thank goodness. And they were only in there for like 5 minutes, right? And they just like walked through the house and you could like see them through the windows. That was really weird. Like, what was that about? You just gave me a thought, Katie Bug. Like, that could be a whole lot of effery. A whole lot of effery with a bunch of the effery that we're thinking could be potential here. Yes, a family with Utah ties, 8 siblings. I'm not sure about. Right, because part of her family is in that Sandy area. Was it you or who was it who said that oh, sorry, it wasn't you, Sifa. It was a channel, a content creator that said that the route that the criminal defendant took with his dad went right through that area, Sandy. And if I could remember what channel it was, I don't think it was Crime Circus, but it was a very interesting thought that he happened to drive through a town where Dylan's family has a lot of ties. Yes, those guys, Katie Bug. All right, you guys, let's be caught up and sign off. We're getting close to 90 minutes long. I was afraid it was going to be a long one today with all this stuff, but let me go through my notes too and make sure I didn't miss anything. If I did, I can always put it in the afternoon video that I have scheduled for 1:00. Those men in that van, that was strange, and no one has been able to confirm who they were. Heather, I think that that's a really good focus right there for myself and anybody else who's interested. Sefa, if you would be interested, those men in that van, and what were they doing? Who are they and what were they doing there? I mean, they were probably private eyes or something. They could have been FBI. I don't know. Wait, I'm kind of in that area too. And I don't know if you're talking about Utah, if you're talking about Sandy, Utah. Sorry, interested in what again? The men, the last one that I tagged, those men in that van, that was strange, and no one has been able to confirm who they were. The 4 or 5 plainclothes guys, they were wearing like flannel shirts and a cowboy hat and beards, and they came out of 2 vans, I think. They went into the residence at 1122 King Road in the middle of the night, a few weeks after the incident. And they were in there for like 5 minutes and then they left. And it was only known about because there was a news reporter camped out there. Thank goodness for that news reporter being camped out there, or it would have gone undetected. So yeah, Sandy, Utah, Sifa. Maybe with the U.S. Marshal, Christina June, very quite possible. Absolutely. And yeah, it harkens to the whole Kylie Rodney, and there were U.S. Marshals there, right? Oh, they were detectives, Sifa says. So let me look over the notes real quick. I wanted to say about the situation here, with the Idaho 4. Were any of these police departments in the middle of giant lawsuits? Something to think about. If anybody was suing these police departments, and maybe even the people from Wazoo that got themselves relieved of their duties or got themselves resigned, however you want to say it, they could possibly have been filing lawsuits, or could have been named in other people's lawsuits. Something to think about. Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't get to it yet. Maybe I'll get to it more this afternoon. So, in the criticism of the criminal defendant and this letter that hasn't been authenticated that says he was in trouble and losing his position in his doctoral program, it really upset me personally. It just like struck a chord how people were saying that he was a harsh grader and that he was even harsher towards women. Can you believe this? He was a sexist grader. Being a woman, yeah, everybody is a sexist grader in my experience from the time I was in high school. Okay. So women have it much harder. What? We probably make like still 50 cents on the dollar with a doctorate degree compared to like a male with a high school degree. It's not just sexism and grading, it's sexism everywhere. So what? We're going to flog this criminal defendant if he was doing what everybody does across the boards, in my opinion. That pissed me off. People were like, "Oh my goodness, he was a sexist grader. He was harsh to everybody, but especially the women. Oh, he's really bad." It's like, yeah, a lot of people are like that, and it is really bad. So I'm just going to blow a gasket. If BK was set up or found innocent, my gut is usually right on. Oh, do you think that he's guilty as suspected? Um, yeah. I know people who work in the church here, and I can ask if they can look into family records to see familial ties to Dylan. Yeah. Wow. That would be profound, Sifa. They also said he got fired, and it pisses me off too, Heather. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I mean, I didn't notice it until high school, and I had a chemistry teacher who was always giving me C's, and I was a straight A student, and I worked extra hard in her class, and I had a straight A student. I wouldn't say cheat off of me because I gave him my material because he'd been sick and missed a bunch of class, and he got an A and I got a C, and I confronted her ass. She was just like all big eyed because she didn't know that he copied off of my notes. And anyway, yeah, that was the first time I saw it. That was in high school, and I saw it a lot in college, even in graduate school. Even and so women can be worse than guys in that department. Like just because Brian was a guy doing it, there that woman in high school was a female, and the person who really messed with me in graduate school was also female. Grr. And Sifa, oh, I have a friend who also does family history. Awesome. Jamie Hood, Mortensen, and Workman are both large Mormon families in Utah. Good to know. I had no idea. I'm not familiar with all of that. So thanks. All right, you guys, I'm going to say peace out and give all of us the reminders that we always need every day to drink our water, get our exercise, eat our high protein, high produce, lots of veggies, some fruit, um, exercise and stretch and get fresh air and sunshine and relax and meditate and pray and be kind and demand kindness from others towards you and love and light to all of you. Hope to see you this afternoon around 1 o'clock. All right. Take care. Thanks again.